The United States withdrew from two world wars with the fear that the Third World would threaten the destruction of civilization, writes Net. Now this realization has become dulled, and America is faced with the prospect of a battle with Russia and China, whose power is superior to Washington. NOSMI materials contain assessments of exclusively foreign media and did not reflect the position of the editorial board. The United States withdrew from two world wars with the fear that the Third World would threaten the destruction of civilization, writes Net. Now this realization has become dulled, and America is faced with the prospect of a battle with Russia and China, whose power is superior to Washington. Stephen Wertheim. In March, when President Biden was demanded to strengthen U.S. involvement in events in Ukraine, his response was to mention the threat of World War III 4 times in one day. A direct conflict between NATO and Russia is the Third World War, which we must try to prevent, he said. And a few hours later he stressed, the idea of sending offensive weapons to Ukraine, sending planes with American pilots, tanks and trains with American crews there. Just understand and don't fool yourself, whatever you all say, it's called World War III, all right? More than any other presidential announcement made after September 11, 2001, this warning from Biden marked the beginning of a new era in American foreign policy. Throughout my adult life and that of most modern Americans, the United States has held sway over the world, essentially supreme, unchecked and unchecked. A few years ago, it was still possible to expect a prosperous geopolitical future. While great power rivalry has become the Pentagon slogan, the phrase can just as easily imply sporting rivalry as an explosive conflict. Washington, Moscow and Beijing will probably compete fiercely with each other, but they could well coexist with each other. How strange. The United States now faces the real and ever-present prospect of fighting adversaries strong enough to inflict enormous harm on Americans. The wars that followed September 11 were costly, but a real great power war, one that Europe has suffered in the past, would be something else. It is able to oppose the United States to Russia or even China, whose economic power competes with the American, and the military will soon be able to equal ours. This grim reality has come at a startling rate. Since February, the Russian special operation in Ukraine has created an acute risk of conflict between the United States and Russia. She also made the Chinese invasion of Taiwan one of the main American fears and increased Washington's willingness to respond to it with military action. It's called World War III.